If you enjoy farm podcasts, then tune into Carrot Cash Flow for all things farm business. Join us as we explore the latest trends, tips, and stories from market farmers running businesses just like yours. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just starting out, our podcast has something for everyone. Listen in and grow with us. Available on all major podcast platforms. Don't miss out. Subscribe to Carrot Cash Flow today. This is my second point I had here, second criteria strategy. It's you scale at the appropriate rate. Everybody's farm will grow at a different speed. And maybe that farm hits a peak, like if La Groenette and Madeleine is happy with where it's at, they can just flatline there and they're successful. There's no need to scale more. Somebody else could be more aggressive just in what they want to do with the business. Let's say they sold the Groenette, new farmer comes in and they try and scale it because that's their vision of the farm. But if you're new, I talked to Tony Barlow about this on a couple of podcasts. He was saying like a lot of people he thinks feel the pressure to come into market garden and initially just buy everything at once. Every tool, every fancy thing, and they haven't sold anything yet. They maybe haven't grown anything. They haven't shown that they even have a business. At the end of the day, they have a barn full of stuff that could be used to create viable product to sell. So I think it's really focusing on where are you at? What's your goal with the business? And spend at a rate respective to that. So if you said, I'm doing this on the side, my goal is to go full time in 2 years, you'd probably spend less than somebody who might need to scale faster for whatever reason. So it's not everybody follows the same path. Some people's paths are steeper, some are shallower. Sometimes it's based on financial constraints or physical constraints. Sometimes it's based on just risk tolerance, but be careful scaling too quickly. Scale at the rate that's right for you. That's my two strategy.
I don't know if this is relevant, Diego, but I was working with a grower, a part-time new grower, and he's not young in Australia. He had a full-time job working on portable sawmills, and then he had a part-time project at home growing beef that he direct marketed, and you could buy that from the website or the farmers market. And then he started a market garden to supplement the beef sales. So he already had experience with sales streams. And then just up the road is a grocer, like a vegetable store. And this is what gets me excited when you can see you're taking your time with your entry. Just up the road, he knew and he spoke with the grocer, and the grocer said, "Look, I'll buy $7,000 of vegetables off you a week. Currently, by the time the vegetables get to us from Melbourne, they're 8 to 9 days old." And so he can see you've got to test that market and develop what you need in place to do that. But there's the opportunity. I was super excited about it that he knows it's close, it's pretty certain, and it's a nice place to start. So he's like looking at, okay, let's build wash and pack. He had gardens in, but he's running it after hours part time. Really nice when you can see that opportunity in front of you. And I like to start with market streams as the opportunity. Where's your demographic? What does that look like? And then we're back design. Coming to
Absolutely.
coming back to investments, like you may have the land or it's a lease. Let's look at your context and what's the bare minimum to start with. And so we had the gardens. We were late on putting irrigation. We built wash and pack early. It wasn't finished, but it was functional. We started with a single jang, one tilther, and a greens harvester. That was it.
I think there's a lot to that because if you have a farm and you build it out just blindly based on some consultant and they didn't start with market streams. And I know of a farm that was somewhat like this. The farm's designed to produce $10,000 of produce a week. So the infrastructure is there to handle all that. They're selling much less, about $1,000. So did you need $10,000 of production a week to start? No. But your other customer or client there who's saying, I could potentially have this $7,000 market stream. When you start to look to build out your market garden, you're probably aiming bigger in that direction. You're not going to say, let's design something that can sell $1,000 a week. So this is where people have to be really careful. And like you said, you start with market streams. What do you think you can realistically sell? And there's no point overbuilding the farm to do that. It's these people who put off-road tires on these SUVs and all they do is sit in traffic on Interstate 5 in California, or these super souped up cars that can go 200 miles an hour, and you're not doing that anywhere legally. It's too much for what you're allowed to do. So you have to be really careful, I think, scaling this. It's infrastructure, it's equipment, and it's not tying up cash flow. So these first two things, I think, are keeping cash flow free. Cash is valuable as cash. And I think people see cash sitting in the bank as it's not doing anything for me. I want to spend it. But cash is great in times of need. And I've seen that in times like 2008 when the market crashed. I was a stockbroker. I saw people panic. Cash was amazing if you had it during that time. And every business might seem like it's forever going up, but firsthand, inevitably there's recessions, there's problems, there's weather events that shut markets down. So having some surplus cash is a good thing. If you are too aggressive in spending, if you're too aggressive in scaling, you take that precious resource and now you put it into stuff, which is fine if you do it at the right rate. But if you overbite and take on too much, you might not be able to max it out. And I just look at you in some of the episodes that we did this year. You're putting in greenhouse multi-years into production. Like, you didn't start there. You didn't build that stuff from day one. You grew the business and got there. It was a much more slow approach when somebody could easily fall into the trap. And this isn't just people who are bootstrapping. There's also people, I think, as Darren Doherty said, some of the worst farms are the ones designed by people with a bunch of money. Money isn't a constraint, and suddenly they do everything. And they became buyers, not farmers. So this is one scaling I think is really important, to know where you're going, know where you're at, and make sure your investments are commensurate to that. Today's episode is brought to you by Modern Grower, a proud retailer of the Sumi Soaker system. The Sumi Soaker system is an irrigation game changer. It offers multiple advantages for market gardeners. Even gentle watering without dry spots common with wobblers. The system is lightweight and portable, so you can use it with quick rotation crops. It's low maintenance with no parts to break or clog. It's versatile. You can use it for direct seeding, transplants, and cover crops. And it's very cost effective compared to overhead options. And maybe one of its best and most unique features is it can put down water in a rectangular pattern, which is very different than rotating sprinklers that leave circular patterns, often with dry corners and overwatered centers. If you want to learn more about the Sumi Soaker system, use the link below or visit us at shop.moderngrower.co.